Hello? Can, can you unmute?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hey, how's it going?
Things are fine.
Great.
For some reason, you're upside down.
Hold on. There we go. How's
There
that?
you are.
Sorry, I had my phone sideways.
Yeah, I had my camera off. Okay, this is Cynthia Horner from Right On Digital, and I am here with DJ CUTSO and Lyrics Born, and they are going to talk to us about their new project. So guys, welcome to the Right On Digital platform.
Thank you.
We're just gonna jump right in and talk about your new song, Anti, that has these really cool lyrics that I intend to publish part of the lyrics on the site too. So let's talk about the making of the song, and then from there we'll go into a couple of other topics.
Sure.
Right. Can I lead it off?
Sure.
Patty, you cool with that? Okay,
Yes.
So you know, the concept is in its totality, the concept is not a new one. You know, this is something that anti-Asian sentiment and violence is something that we grew up with and we've lived with our entire lives. But ever since, you know, the China virus and Kung flu, when those things started coming in to the public dialogue, we noticed that, and there's numbers attached to this, but we noticed that anti-Asian violence, hate crimes, sentiment, taunting, public slurs, et cetera, they just skyrocketed. And that was around this time last year, around the beginning of the pandemic. And this past year, these past 12 months, it's just gotten worse and worse. And then, you know, along the way, people have gotten seriously injured. And then, as we know, many have died. And so when we first started hearing about the rise in these crimes, I thought, you know what, this is a song. This has to be spoken about. This is a song. But it just kind of stayed an idea until CUTSO approached me. It was only a couple weeks ago, really, with an idea to actually create a song. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy, you know, because I was thinking about, you know, writing something about this. And he was like, okay. So within 10 days, we wrote the song, we wrote the music, we recorded it, we recorded a video, we mixed it, we uploaded it, and we released it to the world within 10 days. And after we announced it and we uploaded it, we announced that we were gonna have a donation campaign for Stop AAPI Hate. We announced that, then within 72 hours, we raised thousands of dollars. And now here we are talking to you 2 weeks from that very first day. So it's been crazy, and it's taken on a life of its own. And it's unfortunate that it had to be done, but it did have to be done, and we did it. And we're very proud of it, and we hope it helps.
Okay. That it's incredible that you were able to get everything done that quickly. You must have been working 24/7. Is that correct?
It seems like it. Definitely seems like it.
Yeah, it was intense. You know, it was intense, and it hasn't slowed down. So, I mean, that just speaks to the urgency and the seriousness of the issue, you know.
Now I'm looking here at the lyrics, and I, you know, I kind of wish I had written this myself because I'm echoing your sentiments. What has been the reaction from people who've either seen the video or heard the song?
Well, I mean, a lot of people, we've been getting a lot of, reposting and retweeting from, some of our peers in the industry. A good deal from our own social media followership and our friends, and like raising, a few $1,000s for the Bandcamp proceeds. Sort of, sort of shows the support that the project has behind it, and the sentiments that people share with what's going on in the Asian community. So I think most people were just happy to hear us use our platforms to speak on the matter, especially us being Asian American artists. We felt it was our duty to really step up and use our platform to speak on the matter, and I think people who have been supporting the project really appreciate it for that, and so I think that's sort of been like what's been driving this whole campaign is the fact that it's a really big matter that we're all aware of. A lot of us share the same fears of not only us but our families being attacked, our loved ones being attacked and victimized, and yeah, and not only that, but I think Asians and Asian Americans have always had this reputation of just being the model minority and kind of being silent on things like this. Like just we're not known to to really rock the boat, and so this is sort of a proclamation that we're out here, we're aware of what's going on, and we're not going to take it lying down. So I feel like this is why people have been really behind it.
Well, it seems to me that with what you're doing, that you are definitely spearheading a movement, especially within a younger generation. Can you talk about the significance of what you're doing as activists? Because these days, it's very important to speak on these matters and not be silent, whether you're Asian, whether you're Black, whether you're brown. These are issues that are affecting our communities, and people are actually dying.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I think that's the beauty of what's been happening over the last year with not only the Asian American plight, but with everything that happened with George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement. Everybody's stepping up and using their platforms and using their voices now. Social media has become a tool to voice your matters and to really stand up for what you believe in. And I feel like the younger generation is really privy to that, and they're a lot of things can be traced to it, like the Me Too movement, and it's things like that. It's giving people the bravery to stand up and speak for themselves, and so we're happy to be a part of that. And it's Tom, do you want to speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think all those groups that you just named we all, I mean, our circumstances are very unique to our own ethnic groups, obviously, in our own cultures, but there's some parallels. There's some parallels, and I think that for many years, maybe decades, maybe centuries, Asian Americans have been facing violence, have been facing hate crimes, and have been facing these kinds of difficulties. But because culturally in the past, we never really spoke up in the way that we are now, at least in the past 20 years, I would say. And then it's much more accelerated and it's much more amplified now because we have social media, like CUTSO said. So I think that, this is why we're seeing so much awareness starting to happen, especially on a grassroots level that we're seeing right now, because it's authentically our voices being heard via social media, and it's putting a lot of pressure on traditional and mainstream media outlets to report on us. And you just see, I mean, across the board, you see that this is a it should be seen as a unifying issue among all people of color, and thus all people, because like I said, I mean, culturally we all have different circumstances, but there are parallels. And um, I'm proud to be able to, you know, march in the BLM rallies, and I'm proud to be able to advocate and use my voice, for Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, and I mean what happened in our own backyard here, um, with all the rallies and the marches, and Oscar Grant and so on and so forth. And I mean, these are things that um, that I myself and others like me have proudly marched for, and we are also facing our own issues and have been for years, and I think that we have these common touchstones, and it gives us really the opportunity to focus on those places where we intersect and not our differences, and because I mean, let's be honest, I mean, this whole blueprint for how to move forward, um, in these kinds of instances, when we're fighting these kinds of social injustices, I mean, this whole blueprint was given to us, by folks in the civil rights movement, and everything happening in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and clear on until today, and I think that that must be acknowledged, and I think that we have to help each other clear a path for each other, and that's how we see it, because it's very urgent within our community right now. It's no longer, and not that it ever was, just being taunted or being called names. I mean, people are dying. People are dying. Old people, disproportionately, women disproportionately in our community are being targeted, and it's very serious right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What would you like to say to younger people that may be Asian Americans who are going to see your video, hear the song, and feel inspired by the lyrical content?
Mm.
Well, I mean, really, we just want to inspire people to use their voice and use their platforms. There was a young girl here in the Bay Area, 13 years old. She organized one of the first major rallies against Asian American violence, and it brought together a lot of people. And so I think, with things like social media, and just how quickly we can get messages out through it, yeah, we really hope it'll inspire the younger generation to use those platforms to voice any injustices that they might want to stand up against, rally people together, for solidarity, and and use their talents, use their given talents to spread any message that they stand for.
And you all are donating proceeds from the sale of the single to Stop AAPI Hate. Have you heard from them yet, or will you be talking to them after you make the donation?
Yeah, we're planning on rallying all of the funds and then presenting it to them. through our project. So we haven't spoken to them yet. I'm not sure if they're aware that we've been raising funds for them, but we've been hashtagging them. We've been tagging them in a lot of our promotional posts, and yeah, hopefully that they're aware that we're standing with them.
Now tell me, I know it's a little early, but have you any idea about which ethnic group is most interested in your song and video at this point? Would you say it's the Asian American community, or would you say that it's the Black community, or is it too difficult to tell at this point?
Go ahead, Tom.
From what we see on social media, I mean, if social media is the gauge, I mean, clearly Asian Americans, it's just it's a tidal wave of support, I mean, it's just been exploding, and I think just the little snippets of the video, the video is available on YouTube right now. If you go to either of our Instagram, the link is in the bio to the YouTube video. And we really need the support there. But I mean, and that's where we've been getting it. It's just exploded. And I mean, if you look at even the Reels post, the little snippets of the video that we posted on the Reels, those have been the most viewed Reels on my page that I've ever seen. It's been amazing. And when you see, but it's not just limited to Asian Americans, but I would say that you can tell just by the way that when this song dropped, the overwhelming support for it and the things that are being said in the comments. I read a comment this morning and it said, "This is the song that I've been waiting for since I was a child." You know what I mean? That says it all. That really says it all, because, up until this point, we've had so few voices. We've had so few voices that that spoke to our issues, and I think when a song like this comes along or others like it, we all pay attention because it really speaks to who we are authentically, and I think for other folks that have heard it, it starts to open up their conscience, maybe their consciousness. Maybe they didn't know that Asian Americans were having these issues in America. Maybe they didn't, or worldwide. This is a worldwide phenomenon that we're seeing a rise in anti-Asian violence and sentiment. You know what I mean? So I think it's just affected a variety of people, most notably Asians, on so many different levels. And what we're hoping is that it helps, it helps further the dialogue between our communities and other communities, that it helps us feel seen, it helps us feel validated, and it helps us feel like we're being heard. And that ultimately, again, we can find points where we all intersect and we can focus on those things and not our differences.
Right. Now you mention in your lyrics terms like chink and slant eye, and I think that, of course, these terms have been around for years, and I don't think that a lot of people really understand how words hurt. And I used to go to school with kids that were called these names, and they just kind of suffered in silence. Can you talk about the significance of including these derogatory words in your song lyrics as a way to let people know that this isn't okay?
Yeah. Can I just say something about that, Cuddy, and then I'll throw it to you. But I think, I mean, we talk about this. I was, growing up, and I live in Berkeley, California. I grew up in Berkeley, California, the Bay Area. It's considered one of the most liberal places in the world, and I got called those names every day, you know, probably until I was 20, you know, and then when I hit 20, maybe it was every other day, you know. And it's like I say in the third verse, you know, growing up, I heard chink so much it was anthemic. I mean, it was everywhere, you know. And um, and then I go on to say in the lyrics, imagine what that's done to our self-image, you know, because I think one of the biggest problems that we've had as a culture is that we were called these things and we were subject to this kind of verbal abuse basically with impunity. I mean, everybody from, in my case, other parents, kids, teachers, you know, those people never lost their jobs, you know, for saying that to children, you know, those people, there were no repercussions. And I think that affects you. You're absolutely right. Those kind of words, you know, they take their toll on people. And it's tragic because we grow up internalizing the feeling or the thought that people can just call us any old thing and it's fine, you know, and get away with it and it's fine. But that's changing now. That's changing now. We have a platform and we have a voice that's very public. And so not only are we able to speak out about it, but we're also able to make other people aware that it's not cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cynthia, you want to jump
Yeah.
in?
Yeah. I mean, you know, growing up, I grew up in a really diverse, you know, in a diverse part of the Bay Area, thankfully. But, you know, that's not to say I was never bullied and called these names. And there's a whole list of them, you know, like just the couple that we mentioned in the song are like just a drop in the bucket of, you know, what we've been called all of our lives. And, you know, no matter what ethnicity you are, no matter what, you know, race you are, you know, a derogatory term is a derogatory term. And, you know, they hurt people. They're intended to hurt people. And you know, with Asian Americans, because we've kind of been silent about, you know, the abuse that we've taken over, you know, over the course of our lives. They think it's okay. And, you know, it doesn't hurt less than any other derogatory term called to anybody else. And so, you know, that's something, you know, like LB said, you know, we want to express in the song is, you know, these words still affect us, and they still, you know, they'll always affect us no matter what. um and so, yeah, I think that's one of the main intents of the song as well, is, you know, to let people know that, you know, that these terms are still very, very much derogatory and very offensive, and, you know, to some more than others, that they hurt. So that's, you know, that's something that we're really trying to translate with this song. So yeah, I think Tom said most of it, but that's where I stand with it.
Mhm. Now, I want to ask you, I know we're getting toward the end of this interview, but I want to ask you, what would you like to say to the elected officials that we have in America? We've had some elected officials, I won't even bother to mention this one particular gentleman's name because he's not in office anymore, but a lot of things that he said, I think kind of helped spread the hate as well when we started hearing about the virus that is now here and prevalent. So, what would you like to say to the other elected officials that are still in office that have the ability to do something in their respective states or their local communities to try to help eradicate the problems that Asian Americans are facing right now?
I mean, to anyone that's in office right now, you know, they see what's going on, you know, especially in places that are, you know, highly populated by, you know, a certain ethnicity, you know, cater to them, listen to them. we pay bill, we pay taxes, we do everything, that every American should be doing in their elected area. So listen to these people, especially your people of color, because a lot of them are driving, different industries like food industries and, agriculture and, retail, things like that. Like, we are, immigrants and, we're sort of the linchpins of American industry. So listen to us. I guess, aside from what else is going on out there with racism and everything, yeah, just serve us like you're supposed to.
Yeah. And I would say put us on your cabinet. You know, don't just pay us lip service and be like, oh, this is an issue in the Asian American community. This is wrong. Put us on the cabinet. Show us something. Show us something. Put us on your cabinet. Put us in positions. If you are a politician in power and you really care, put us in a position where we can help, where we can be of service. Put us in a position where, the power is distributed equitably.
Yep. It could only help the progress of America if we're all in it together. And that goes with everything, state legislature, all that. Like Tom said, put us on put us on the team. And we can help make the decisions that'll drive the future.
Right. That's excellent advice. And I think that all these different things that we've talked about in this brief but wonderful conversation are going to help, because I think that everybody needs somebody to push them through the door. At one point we had Dr. Martin Luther King, and he galvanized millions of people, won the Nobel Peace Prize, and was considered one of the greatest orators of all times. And he's an example of somebody who did much to try to help America and the world. And now we don't have him anymore, but we have you. We have the Black Lives Matter group. We've got other people. We've got a new president, President Biden, and we have a vice president, Kamala Harris. And I think all of you can do so much to help the world at this point, because the incidents that have happened recently that have been in the news, the deaths, the assaults, they happen here in America, but this is actually a global problem.
Yes. Yes. 100%.
Okay, now, since we're at our conclusion, can you tell me if you all are working on any other music at the moment, or are you just concentrating on this single at the moment?
We're working on it. So me and Lyrics Born are working on a follow-up to our last album, which, we're not calling it Rap Night anymore, are we? I think it's just Lyrics Born and CUTSO, but we're working on a new album together. And he has a couple albums on queue as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tell us what social media handles you'd like people to follow.
At Lyrics Born, LYRICSBORN, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Make sure you click the link in bio. Let's run the video up.
Yep.
We got to run the video up for Anti.
Yep. And I'm on all platforms at CUTSO, CUTSO, Instagram, Twitter. And I'm on Bandcamp, cutso.bandcamp.com. That's also where you can find the single Anti for sale. And I do a lot of my postings on those 3 platforms.
Okay, well, Right On Digital will be doing everything we can to help you. And you all should stay in contact with us because you have a home with us, and together we're going to work through these problems and do what we can to galvanize other young people to take up the baton and run with it.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate that, Cynthia. No, I've been a Right On reader since I was a child, so thank you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Can I
we
just say,
appreciate you.
can I say something?
Yes.
This has been a supreme honor for me to do this interview because just like CUTSO said, I read Right On as a kid. You know, I used to go down to 7-Eleven
Thrifty.
and I would sit there and read them and they'd get mad at me and they're like, you have to buy that. And I would say, okay. And then I'd buy it and I'd take it home and I had stacks of Right-Ons at the house. And so this is, when we got the call, I was like, what? So thank you so much. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. It's
Yeah.
Well, I thank you, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and you'll get a link so that you can start posting and blasting this out very shortly.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good, Cynthia.
All right.
Thank you so much for everything.
Okay,
Have a
thank
great
you.
day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.